Okay, well, you can see what's going on here. But basically, I went out with some friends of ours, and it was like the 9th or 10th time we'd been out this summer, just having a great time. And of course, the boat basically had a leak internally, which I looked for. I looked for an oil leak, obviously, when I first fired up the boat. When I first got it together, didn't see anything, but obviously there was, and it took 9 outings to finally bleed down enough oil or get bad enough that the oil started coming out. Well, anyway, I think it was one of the hoses for the oil filter, and so bled down all the oil, and ended up the oil light went off while we were out there, and basically you can see inside here in these pleats that there's little pieces of copper in there, as well as right here, and obviously copper is the material of the rod bearings, main bearings, so bottom end. So damn it, anyhow. So the engine is basically hurt. I refilled it with oil, went back out another time, but the oil pressure is fluctuating, rhythmically, so to speak, with the RPM. So that's usually kind of a sign of a rod bearing. Obviously, I've done this already once, and I'm not looking forward to doing it again. So I'm not going to videotape every little bit, just the parts that are new or different or interesting. Anyway, that's where we're at. Okay, so we popped the oil pan off of this boat motor, and like we suspected, there is copper pieces all over it. And so I'll pull the windage tray off real quick, but for now we were just really quickly going through, and this one has a little play in it. You can see it, maybe you can see it moving there, so that's not great, at least that one. So we'll pull the windage tray off, oil pump, try and grab as many of the shavings as we can, and start getting this thing put back together. Okay, well, there's the mains are pulled off. Actually, several of the mains were spun, so just one of those deals. So it was just pretty much tore up, so that sucks. That had to have been from the oil, basically running out of oil, so that's too bad. Sorry, boat motor, didn't mean to do that, but that's just the way it goes. This crank is in pretty tough shape. I don't know if that's even worth saving or what, but we'll get a game plan and deal with it. All right, so I have dug deeper in the last day here. This main in particular here, I don't know if you can see the coloring right here of how this is, like, I would say significantly darker versus like this one has a little bit of color right here, and then this one here basically has none. So that would be an indication that there was some temperature built up there. And again, if I go over to this side, you can see how that heat was pushed up in there. So that's not great. That probably means that this bore is not perfect anymore. And so that, in combination with the fact that the rods are pretty scorched now too, which they're not known to be super expensive, but those will need some care. So based on all this, I think this bullet is now retiring. I don't really think that there is, I mean, yes, anything is fixable. I'm sure some machinists could have their way and find a way here, but whether it would be cost effective is the next thing. So I'm going to, I think, pursue finding a replacement short or long block. The combination of small block heads with a roller block is a little bit unusual. It's my understanding that Chevy would not have done that maybe ever, or for sure not very long, and so that's making finding this configuration a little difficult. But if nothing else, I'll just talk to a machine shop and have them build me one really quick, because it obviously is summer and I want to get back on the water. So anyway, this will be a different type of a scenario. rather than rebuilding like we did previously. I don't think that anything I did there was wrong. It just needs oil, turns out. So that's my own mistake, and you just learn from those mistakes. So anyway, based on the fact that like all the rod bearings and like most of the mains were screwed up, I think that the problem was somewhat widespread, you know. So this would have been one of the main caps that didn't spin. As you can see, the bearing's still basically exactly where it needs to be. However, the impregnation of all that copper is kind of an indication that something massively wrong was going on. And then these would be the newly heat treated ones that are now not the right color. I'm going to see if I can source something, and it'll be very similar to what people will have to do if they freeze out. If you freeze out, that would be basically trashing the block in the same way that this is trashed. You might still have a good crank, but I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't go that route. They would just replace it. Well, there it is, folks, in pretty sore looking shape. This is pretty much headed for the scrap pile. I'm not going to reuse the pistons or the rods or the obviously the rings or bearings or anything here. The oil pump, that's all had metal go through it. So I think that is all headed to be repurposed, have a second life. So anyway, that's just kind of the way it goes.